about to start our first session for the day. I welcome all the participants for the 5 day long online ATAL FDP on the recent trend in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning application organized by Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Institute of Engineering and Management. I would like to express our gratitude to all our guest speakers on the occasion, and I would like to also express our gratitude for you accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion. Now with this, yeah, yeah, our speaker is already here, so we are privileged to have with us our guest speaker, our first speaker, Dr. Umapada Pal. Dr. Umapada Pal received his PhD from Indian Institute, and he did his postdoctoral research at INRIA, France from January 1997. He is a faculty member of Computer Vision and Pattern Recognition Unit of the ISI Kolkata. At present, he is a professor of CVPRU. His field of interest is different pattern recognition problems like digital document processing, optical character recognition, camera video text processing, biometrics, document retrieval, key spotting, video analysis, to name a few. He has published 435 research papers in various international journals, conference proceedings, and edited volumes. Because of his significant impact in the document analysis research in 2003, he received ICDAR Outstanding Young Researcher Award from International Association for Pattern Recognition. In 2005-2006, Dr. Pal has received JSPS Fellowship from Japan government. In 2008, 2011, and 2012, Dr. Pal received visiting fellowship from Spain, France, and Australian government respectively. Dr. Pal has been serving as a general organizing chair of many conferences, including International Conference on Document Analysis and Recognition, International Conference on Frontier and Handwriting Recognition, International Workshop on Document Analysis and Systems, to name a few. International Conference on Pattern Recognition will be the first time in India in 2024 under his leadership. He is the founding co-editor-in-chief of Springer National Computer Science Journal. He is serving as associate editor in many journals like Pattern Recognition Journal, ACM Transaction of Asian Language Information Processing, to name a few. He is also fellow of International Association for Pattern Recognition. He also is among the top 2% scientists in the world list by the Stanford University in 2020. Sir is going to speak on deep learning application in image processing analysis today. I once again wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir. May I request sir to take over from here and we can begin the first session.
Madam, I think our speaker is having a little bit of a technical problem.
Right. Okay.
So we would request the participants to kindly be a little bit patient. Sir has joined again. Shubhasri madam, Sir has joined again.
Okay.
You should be able to unmute.
Sir, can you hear us? Okay, I request all the participants to please be patient. Our first speaker has just joined. I think there is some technical problem, so please be patient. Okay, just a few reminder. Please be careful regarding the attendance, which would be shared in the WhatsApp group as well as in the chat box. So it would be around 2 to 3 when it would be shared. So I request all of you to take the attendance immediately as soon as possible. And towards the end of each session, we would have a Q&A session. So I request all of you to put your queries in the chat box, or you can also raise your hand. Kindly be patient. I'm sure we are going to start this session shortly. I request
Shubhasri,
all of you.
is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
any difficulty?
Yeah, I think there's some technical issue. So sir has joined, but I think there's some technical difficulties from his end. So we are waiting for sir.
Please, Tufan, can you help him out?
Yeah, ma'am, we are already on it. He is joining back in shortly, and we should be able to get him. We should. Sir has joined.
Okay. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Sorry
that's all
for
right.
is
Thank
the
you, sir,
problem.
for your presence.
Okay, so I'm sorry I missed. So can I start now?
Yeah, of course, sir. Surely.
Okay, so let me share the screen first. So are you getting my screen?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible. Perfectly
Okay,
fine.
thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry for the network problem. So today I am planning to give you some overview about the application in a deep learning application in image analysis and pattern recognition. Perhaps you know that I have 2 lectures in this program. So today from 9:30 to 11 o'clock, and day after tomorrow I have another lecture. So today I'll just give you the brief about the applications, and day after tomorrow I will give you more technical things on this application so that you can get both the application as well as their technical details. Okay. Before starting my talk, I just want to give you some information about my international collaboration. So I have many international collaborations with different institutes in abroad as well as in India. So my international collaboration is with Mie University, Japan, Computer Vision Center, University Autónoma de Barcelona, that is in Spain, Gjøvik University in Norway, Griffith University, Australia, University of Tours, and University of La Rochelle. That is, these two universities are in France. University of Technology Sydney, that is in Australia. University of Malay, Malaysia. Nanjing University, and also East China Normal University. These two also from China. And lastly, we are working with Oxford University. So not only just collaboration, we also jointly supervise the PhD student, and sometimes we invite some PhD student to get the fellowship in some of these universities. Okay. So as the organizer mentioned about my big CV, so she mentioned everything. So just I want to give one more information that in 2024, the International Conference on Pattern Recognition will be in Kolkata, and I will be the lead general chair for this international event. So perhaps you know that there was no ICPR, that means International Conference on Pattern Recognition, so far in India, although that ICPR is running more than 30 years. Okay. So we took initiative to organize it in India, and we submitted the bid and we were successful. So I am happy to inform you that ICPR 2024 will be in Kolkata, and we need the help from all of you for this big event, because nearly 1,500 people from abroad attend this international event. Okay. Yeah. So now I'll just give you that the talk. So as you know, maybe from the inaugural session, you know that the application of machine learning or AI in our daily life. Right? So it is used in many areas, not only in computer science, in healthcare, agriculture, economics, everywhere, right? So many real life applications we have. So today, as I mentioned you earlier, I will give you or discuss some of the applications of image analysis and PR that are mostly developed using deep learning. Right? Okay, so to give this application or to give some overview on this application, I just I am sure that you have the idea what is image, right? What is gray level image? What is binary image? So I hope you have that information. So I will not give you more details about the image and its properties. Just to mention that an image is a two-dimensional matrix, right? So how we can get the image? We have different devices. For example, you can use your mobile. Just a moment. So let's say you have a mobile, right? And you can take the image anywhere from maybe from books or maybe from newspaper or maybe from the roads. Anywhere you can take the images, right? Image may be black and white or grayscale or maybe color, right? So generally we take the gray level image. That means the image contains the gray values or maybe intensities from 0 to 255. That means total 256 gray level that image has. Okay. And if you want to use a binary image, you can convert this gray level image into binary image. And there are many techniques that are there. So you can use any of these techniques to get or to convert the gray level image into binary. That means two values. like binary digit 0, 1. Similarly, binary image, that image contains only 2 values. But Gray level contains 256 values from 0 to 255. Okay. Anyway, so this is the image. It is a 2-dimensional matrix, right? So you know how to handle matrices in your program, right? So we are talking that AI, machine learning, right? That means how you can train or you can learn machine like human. That means how machine can work like a human, right? So for example, let's say I want my system that he will read my research paper and I will just hear. But how machine can do that? Is there any technique to do that? Yes, there are techniques to read or to understand. Let's say today's newspaper. A blind man, he wants to read today's newspaper, let's say. But blind man cannot read, right? So how computer can help blind person to read newspapers? So what we have to do? So first we have to take the image of the newspaper. We can use mobile or maybe some scanner. You know, the scanner can be used for image capturing. So first you put your newspaper, or maybe blind man can put the newspaper on the scanner. So when the blind man will put the newspaper on the scanner, the image will be scanned. That means he can get the image. Now there are some techniques on document image analysis, that means DIA. One of the techniques is OCR, optical character recognition. So under this DIA or document image analysis technique, the OCR approach can convert this image, the text image, into normal text. And then if we use some speech to convert the text to speech, then the blind man can hear what is there in the newspaper. That means blind man can know about the newspaper with the help of computer. That means computer can help the blind people to read the newspaper. Okay. So this is one of the applications. So all the things are based on image or video. What we will discuss today. So our input is either image, maybe gray level or color or binary, depends on your application, or video. Okay. So your mobile also can be used to take the video. You can just take any video, and then video can be used for your input. Right? Okay. So multi-step document recognition with its mobile application. So this is the first application I want to present to you here. So what do you mean by multi-step document? So in India, you know, we have more than 25 languages and we use more than 10 scripts for writing these languages, right? And any document may contain 2 or more scripts. For example, the document in West Bengal may contain Hindi, English. These are 2 general language we get, along with the local language is Bangla. Similarly, if we consider, let's say, the text in, let's say, Tamil Nadu, it will be Hindi, English, and the Tamil text, right? So that means we can have many scripts or many language in a single page. So how computer can understand what are the scripts it is written and what is the meaning of the script. So for example, I am in Japan, right? And everything is written in Japanese. So how I can know what it is written in Japanese? Is there any system for that? How we can get this information? So document image analysis technique or DIA technique can help us to know what it is written there in other languages so that I can get the information about the written part. That means, for example, if I have a mobile, I can take the image of that text written in Japanese or maybe other languages that I don't know, and my device or maybe my OCR system can identify first what is this language, it is Chinese or Japanese or maybe other, and then it can convert the text written in that language into my own language, let's say maybe in English or Hindi or Bangla. So that means how computer, how or mobile can help to understand what it is written in other language. Okay. So for example, one people he is in Indian museum. So let's say in Indian museum, many things are written in Hindi, but foreign people don't know Hindi. So maybe what they can do, they can take the image and they can convert this Hindi into their own language, maybe English, so that they can understand what it is, right? So this is multi-step document recognition using the mobile. So more technical things on that, maybe I will discuss in the next class. Next application I'm planning to give you on parcel sorting. So what do you mean by parcel sorting? So as you know, in our present life, we always buy many things using Flipkart or maybe Amazon, right? And every day some parcel is arriving at every family, perhaps. You see, lots of parcels are coming and we need to sort that. If the human or human sort this parcel, it will take lots of time. So is it possible to sort this parcel automatically by computer? Yes, it is possible. So how we can do that? So perhaps you know, nowadays we don't write so many letters. Like earlier we used the inland letter, postcard to send somewhere, right? Nowadays we use just mobile to send SMS or maybe email or maybe WhatsApp. That's all. Although the postal document is reducing, but number of parcel is enhanced. That means it is increasing a lot. So there is a need of automatic parcel sorting system. And next application is that. So before that, I just want to give you one small demonstration so that you can get the idea how the parcel sorting can be done with the help of some robots. Okay. So here you can see some small robots, how they are helping us in our daily life. Right. So this system is developed by one of my collaborators that is from China, the Shanghai East China Normal University. So this video I obtained from his lab, in fact from him. So you can see here, I don't know, are you getting these demonstrations? Can you see that?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Yeah, okay. So you can see that small robots are there and robots are carrying this big parcel and they are going to the particular box location and dropping there. So what do you mean by dropping there and how they are dropping? Actually, you know, each of these parcel, there is an address, right? So maybe I'll just show you the other demonstration so that you can get the idea. So this robot will take this particular parcel to the particular box. So you can see there are several boxes here, right? So many boxes. This one, this one, this one. These are the box. So these box are basically that is nothing but, let's say it is the packet. That means those parcels which are going to that particular city. Let's say this is Delhi, this is Kolkata, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and so on. So those parcel will go to Delhi. That all these parcel will be dropped here. Kolkata maybe here, something. So these are basically the big city names. Based on that, the parcel will be sorted. Okay. So what is done actually? So you know in the airport, right? When we just give our big luggage, so there is a belt, and through the belt, all this luggage will go. So here also similar to like this, there is a belt. All the parcels are coming. You see, so many parcels are coming at a time, and there is a camera. Camera will read the address, and based on this address where it will go, the robot will go to that particular box, right, like this, and the robot will drop that parcel in that particular box. That means we have sorted all the parcels according to the city name. Okay. So there are many problems because we have to synchronize the, or maybe we have to control the robot based on the address, right? So many things are there. And we have to read carefully the address so that based on the address, the material or maybe the parcel can be reached there properly. There won't be any problem. So what are the techniques are there? So you see, this is based on machine learning. So what we have to do here, we have to read the address part. Then based on the address part, we have to instruct the robot. Okay, so this address is in this location. That means the box is in this location. So we have to go there. So that there won't be any collision among the robots. You can see here that all the robots, they are, you can see, maybe here you can see, you see, robots are taking these big parcels. Some of the parcel is very, very heavy, sometimes more than 50 kilo also, as they mentioned. So you see, these big parcel they are carrying and they are dropping in the box. And you can see sometimes the robots are waiting because there should not be any collision. Okay. So they are carefully controlled by the system so that all the parcel can be sorted accordingly based on this city, right? So now, how will read this address? Okay? So how we can use the machine learning or maybe deep learning if the problem is very complex? How we can use the deep learning model to recognize this? So to give some idea, let's say when a kid is going to school at the age of 4 or 5, so in first few days, maybe the teacher asks this kid to write some basic characters, like in English, A, B, C, D, or in other language, in Hindi or Bangla, or or something like that, right? So let's say we consider here English. So how the kid is writing A, because teacher is first showing, okay, write this, and this as A. So that means in A there is there are two slanted lines, left slanted, right slanted, and there is a horizontal line at the middle, and asks the kid to write several times. What do you mean by this several times? That means the brain of the kid is taking the structure of A so that in future he learns what is the shape of A. Similarly, B, C, all the characters, right? So we proceed one by one. So many samples or many times the key try for A, many times the key try for B, C, something like that. That means we have different class of characters A, B, C. So let's say 26 class for uppercase character, 26 for lowercase, and maybe 10 numerals, right? So then each of the class of the letters A, B, C, something like that, the kid is trying to write each character several times. So that means, what do you mean by this several times? As I mentioned you, the kid is trying or getting to paint the shape of that particular character. Similarly, if we do the same thing, if we just paint all these,
Sorry to interrupt.
sorry, are you getting me?
Sir, the presentation is not visible actually. We can see the video.
So you are not getting anything, right?
No, we are not seeing the presentation, sir.
Okay. Anyway, so in fact, yeah.
Yeah, I think
So I'm just talking, so I'm not showing the presentation now. So is it okay now? Are you getting?
yes. Perfect.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can see the
Okay. Yeah. Actually, what I'm telling, so that means I just wanted to tell you the kid is trained to get the shape of the character. So similarly, we can train the computer also, right? So that means when you use the some sort of machine learning or deep learning, we train our different classes of objects, what we are planning to handle. And based on this training, we can get the results, right? So this parcel sorting for address recognition, we also follow the similar things to get this to recognize the address properly, right? So similarly, as you have seen the parcel sorting, I just want to show you one more demonstration, that is postal sorting. So postal sorting means we just write the postal document, maybe envelope or inland letter, something like that. And you can see, you will see the big system. It is the initial part of the system where all the postal documents are feeding one by one. And you can see how fast it is. It's very fast. It is taking the documents one by one very fast, right? So after taking this document, here also we have to recognize the address. So you can see the postal documents is going one by one, and you can see there is some red light, right? So that means it is scanned here, the address. As soon as it is scanned, the OCR system is activated, and then based on the address of those documents, and it will be sorted. You see how fast it is going there, very fast. So then it will be recognized, and based on the recognition, we know where it will go, and accordingly, it will be sorted in that based on the particular address in that or that particular city. You can see there are many ways, and that is based on the address part, and at last the document will be stored in the respective bin. That means it will be sorted based on the city. And if some of the documents are not recognized properly, that will be rejected. So it will be put in the rejected bin. And now we'll see how all these documents will be stored in the bin. You can see every city name there is a bin like this, and all the postal document will be sorted according to the address, and it will be sorted like this. So just postal people will come and take all these bunch and they will send all these things to the particular city. They don't have to do anything manually here, just to take the documents, sorted documents, and put it into the box. That's all, nothing else. So that means machine can help us in our daily life in different ways. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me go for the application. So this is the for parcel sorting and postal document sorting. In fact, as I mentioned you, nowadays we don't use so many postal documents. So instead, the number of parcel is increasing. So parcel sorting is most important than postal sorting. Okay. Another application is handwriting recognition and AR writing recognition. So what do you mean by AR writing? So AR writing means write in the air. So generally, as you know, when we write something, we just use a pen or maybe some papers, and then we write one by one, right? Or maybe we just use blackboard or whiteboard somewhere. But recently, we started some research. We don't need any writing medium. Just you use your hand to write in the air. That means air means it is a three-dimensional space. So you just write. So how it will be recognized? What I am writing, how you can recognize that? So for example, you have a mobile and that mobile has a camera. You have a laptop and laptop has a camera. So if you write in front of the camera in the air, then how your hand is moving, that can be obtained by the camera, and based on the hand movement, we can know what you are writing actually. Okay, so that is called AR writing. So what are the applications? Why we are doing like this? So for example, you want to send an SMS to your friend. So what you generally do? You just you have a mobile. There's a keypad. So you just type here in the mobile, and then you just send that type text. But if you use your mobile, or maybe if your kid is using your mobile from morning to evening, maybe that will be very bad for their eyes. It may have bad effect in their eyes, right? So instead of that technique, can you use some sort of AR writing so that whatever you are writing here, it will be automatically stored in your mobile or maybe in your laptop, and you can send by email, SMS, WhatsApp as you like. So that is the application of AR writing. So in AR writing, how it works basically? So for example, when you move your hand, your finger is also moving accordingly. So let's say this finger is my pen. Like if you consider this is the pen and this is the pen tip. So how this point is moving, that movement of this point, that means coordinate of this point can be stored. So all this sequence of these points is the image for us. You don't need any other devices to scan. You just move your hand, and based on the hand movement, you know the coordinate of this point, and those points, one by one, you are getting those points, and those points is the data for recognition. And if we just use recognition system on those data, then we can get the actual what we have written. Okay, but what is the problem in AR writing? The problem in AR writing is when you write, there is no starting and there is no ending, because my hand is always moving, something like this. So how we can know the starting point and the end point? So that is the problem in AR writing, because when we write in a paper, so my pen will touch this surface and then we write and then we take the pen out, right? So there is a pen up and pen down, but here there is no pen up, pen down. That means there is no starting point and end point. So that is the problem in AR writing. But we use different techniques to get the problem solved. And in the next class, I'll discuss on this air writing technique, how we have developed the system and what about the accuracy for that. Okay. So next application, I'll just talk to you about the automatic answer script evaluation. So as you know, after the exam, you have to evaluate lots of answer script of your students, and it will take lots of time from you. Instead, can we think to develop a system that system can evaluate the answers? So there are many advantages. It will take a lot less time from you, or maybe you don't have to spend a lot of time for answer script evaluation. And also there should not be any biasness, because if it is machine evaluated, so there is no biasness, it is unbiased way, and it is very fast. Maybe in 1 week we can just get the results, right? So after exam, generally we just publish the result in 1 month or maybe 2 months, and sometimes, let's say in Madhyamik or higher secondary exam, it will take 3 months. We don't need a lot of time. So can we think something like this, automatic answer script evaluation by the machine using machine learning or deep learning technique? So some work has started in this area. This is a very new area. And there are many complexities. So one complexity maybe I can tell you. So for example, when the people or maybe the student write the answer script, and you can see there are many cross out. That means they cancel some part. So maybe the whole page they have cancelled, or maybe one line is cancelled, or maybe some words are cancelled. So they can cancel many parts or many different parts from the answer script. But how machine can identify which part is crossed out, that means the student has cancelled, so that machine will not read that part or evaluate that part. So how to get this cross out portion? That is one of the complexity for the air writing system. Okay. And also you can see it is a handwritten based system because sorry, the answer script, it is a handwritten based system. So the complexity of the system depends on the handwriting style of the students. So different students have different handwriting styles, right? So sometimes you can see in the same student, when he start at the beginning, his writing is very clear and it is very straight like this. But at the end, when there is no time, he has to be very fast. And you can see his handwriting cannot be recognized by the teacher. So how machine can understand? So there are many issues on this automatic answer script evaluation system. We started some work on this. In fact, if you write a very small answer, let's say a short answer, one line answer, then the system can recognize easily what he has written based on the handwriting technique as well as the natural language processing, because we have to know whether it is a valid sentence or not. Right? But when you will have a big answer, let's say like a paragraph writing, how will you do that? So what you have to do? You have to use several steps. You have to segment the lines into words, then you have to recognize the words, then you have to validate that whether some words constitute a valid sentence or not. And not only that, nowadays you can see in the exam, when the question is set to write a paragraph, generally they give some keywords. That means you have to use this keyword to write the paragraph. So similarly here also, we have to know whether these keywords are there, and based on this keyword, the sentence is valid. So many issues are there to evaluate the answer properly. Okay. So it's a big job. So it will take time. But if we can develop such a system, it will be wonderful for not only our country, everywhere in the world. Okay. Yeah. So I think you got the idea, the recent application and how the complexity of the problem. So next application I am planning to give you on camera-based heart rate detection. So for example, for the heart rate detection, we have several sensor-based system, right? So what we do, we use, let's say, some sensor, and then we can, using that sensor, we can get the heart, right? So let's say nowadays, because of the COVID, we use the small device oximeter where you can get this information also. But is it possible to use the machine learning technique to detect the heart rate based on camera? That means you don't have to touch, or maybe you don't have to use any sensor. What you will do, you have the mobile, so your mobile will take the image from your face. So we don't need the whole body, just face is enough. Take the image, and based on the facial image, the system can tell you what is the heart rate. Okay, so that means it's very easy. You just take your mobile and take your photo. That's all. As soon as you take the photo, if you feed this image into your system, that heart rate detection system, and then the system can tell you what is the heart. So in ISI, we have in our group, we have developed a system. Maybe I'll show you here to get the idea quickly. So we have developed a system for heart rate detection, and that is the project from Norway. So we got the fund from Norway company. That company has given the fund for this work, and we have developed the system. And you can see here, you can see. So we have taken the image, but we first detect the face portion, and from the facial images, we can at different times. Okay. See, it is a video, not actually the still image. So it is a video. So you can see sometimes the heart rate is changing from 71 to 79, 90, something like this. This is because your image is not getting properly, and that is the that's why you are getting such different heart rate. But that doesn't matter. I'll tell you how to take care of those things. You can see. So this girl, she is taking her face in different direction, and we are getting the heart rate from the facial information. Okay. And you can see the different heart rate. But you can see, although there is a deviation from 71 to 90 degree in these images, but what we can see, we can take that what is the mode of these different heart rate. That modal information will give you the actual heart rate. That means we want to detect whether it is normal or if heart rate is not normal. But that can be done based on the is a deviation from 71 to 90 degree. We can just take the mode of the heart rate, and that mode will give you the actual heart rate, and then based on that we can decide whether it is a normal or the heart rate is not normal. Okay. So what we do generally, in fact, this sort of work has been done earlier, but they use very expensive camera. So in fact, 2 years ago, when I was in Beijing, in the big research lab in Beijing, so as soon as I entered there, they are telling everything about me. So my height, my sex, my heart rate, so everything. So because there are many cameras set in different locations and very expensive camera, those camera is taking my images, and based on different system, they are taking the measures and they are giving the measures on me. But in this system, what our system is, you don't need any expensive camera, just your mobile. It is a mobile, this images is taken from the mobile, it is a video from the mobile, and based on the video from obtained from your mobile or from a laptop, we can just detect the heart rate. Okay. So that is a recent technique that how we can use just sensorless technique on mobile images or camera or laptop images, video images for detection of the heart rate. Okay. Yeah. In fact, we are also doing some sort of work on baby monitoring. Actually, this heart rate detection, that fund is given by Baby Sensor, the company of Norway, as I mentioned you. So Baby Sensor is also giving some more fund for baby monitoring, because this company is work related to baby. So they want, for example, a baby is sleeping on the bed, and maybe her parents are not at home, maybe somewhere far from home. So they want to watch the baby, and they want to know what the baby is doing. So that means they monitor the baby through your mobile. That means there is a camera at the room, and that camera is taking the images and processing the images to show you the different maybe position of the baby, whether baby is sleeping or maybe he is putting some cloth in or her mouth, or he is or she is crying. What are the things? So that means we can just monitor the baby and we can send some alarm to the parents, so that parents need some attention of their baby or not. Okay. It is not just take the not like a surveillance camera, just take the images. So we have to process the different images and we have to generate some sort of alarm so that parents can know he needs attention or not. Okay. Or let's say a very simple example. The kid is maybe sleeping in one room and the parents or maybe the mother is working at the kitchen. So how she can get this information? So you see how useful this baby monitoring things for the real application. Okay. There are many other important applications. So, for example, the sign language interpretation, vision, that is based on the laptop or maybe just a mobile. That means we take the video and how this video or vision based technique can be used for communication between deaf and dumb people and normal people. So sign language basically that is used for deaf and dumb people who cannot speak, right, or who cannot hear. So generally they use some sign. So their language is sign language. So they use some sign, and also they use some facial expression to tell what they want to tell. So that means they use, they move their hands and also they will change their facial expression to say, let's say water, or maybe fire, or maybe hot, something, cold, something like this. So what we can do, like air writing system, if you got the idea of air writing, so based on the same concept, we can know how the hand movement is done, or maybe the hand gesture we can get, and we can analyze that one, and we can know what type of gesture she is using, and also we can use the facial expression, and we can combine this facial expression and hand gesture to get or to know what the people want that the blind people or maybe deaf and dumb people wants to say. So then our system will take the images and convert into our language. Then we can know what that the deaf and dumb people wants to say. Similarly, as an answer, we'll just give our normal text, and then that text will be converted into sign language, so that we can communicate that normal people and the deaf and dumb. So based on the just video or maybe let's say images, we can communicate one another with the help of machine or computer through nowadays deep learning technique. Okay. And nowadays, next application is the drone, and perhaps even today in the inaugural session, so somebody has mentioned about the drone. So we use drone in many applications nowadays, right? We use drone in agriculture. We use drone in the city. We use drone in the sea also. So let's say one simple example or maybe application of drone is like this. So let's say in beach, let's say in Australia there are many oceans, right? And they want to know whether there is a shark or maybe crocodile in the beach or not. But how they can know? So if there is a shark, maybe they will give some alarm so that the people will not swim in that particular part of the beach. So this is a real-time system. What they are doing, they are taking the images using drone, and those images are sent to their computer or let's say server, and server is processing this real-time. And if there is any alarm regarding the shark, they will send automatically this alarm so that all the people who are swimming or maybe who are there in the beach, they can get the information and they can come back. Okay. So we can use in drone. In fact, in one of our research, we are using drone for car parking and whether a car is violating the rule. Nowadays, in the main cities in India, in Kolkata, Delhi, there are many cameras on the road, and the camera is taking the images, right? But instead of camera, if we use drone, we can use the many areas at a time, right? So we use the drone to watch the car. So for example, there is a parking, and let's say there is in one of the universities, and there is a parking area, and there is a drone, and drone can detect if a car is parked not parked properly or not, or the car is in the position which is not that is illegally parked. Let's say. So how we can know that? So easily the drone can do that. So we have the drone images, and that images will be processed, and if a car is not parked properly, automatically that car number will be recognized, and that car number will be alarmed, or maybe the owner of the car will be alarmed, or maybe he will get some fine, something like this. So there are many real applications based on drones. One more application, recent application, in fact, this is very recent work we have developed. There is no work on this. That means text-based pose estimation or text-based video generation. So what do you mean by text-based pose estimation? or maybe text-based video generation. So for the video generation, we just started. We don't have the system so far. But text-based pose estimation, we have the system. So what do you mean by this? So let me give one example. So text-based video generation. Let's say you have to generate a video, or let's say a very simple way. Let's say consider you have to generate, or you have to have a movie based on the text. Okay. So, for example, in West Bengal, there is a famous festival called Durga Puja, right? So, if I write a small paragraph on Durga Puja, so let's say in Durga Puja, many people gather together, and the roads will be many lighting can be seen, or many goddess of Durga Puja appear, something like that. Then based on this text, we can have some video. So that means you can generate the video based on the text, and that is based on the deep learning. In fact, for the first one, that is text-based pose estimation. So that means, for example, I have to generate a pose based on the text I am supplying. So, for example, let's say Umapada Pal is now sitting on a chair. His hands, left hand is maybe in the down position, right hand is in the top, something like this, and he has using some shirt of this color. So if you give this input like a text, then how we can get the pose of Umapada Pal? Okay, so that means we can generate or paint images through computer without human interaction. So we have generated some images like this. Maybe I'll just show you this system, or maybe that website. Maybe I'll just send this link to you. Oh, sorry. Just 1 second, please. Maybe I'll just send this. So maybe I'll just do it later. It's taking time, no problem. So I'll send you this link. So what you can do, maybe I'll just copy this link. And here I'll just show you first. Okay. And you can see here, so we have generated some images based on our text. And if you use this link, I'll send you later, then what you can see, here that, so maybe you have to just agree about this. So we have generated some poses, and you have to tell whether it is generated by our system or it is a real image. Okay, so that means whether it is a real or it is a fake. Right. So for example, if you click the start, so this is the you can just have a practice. For example, these are the real images and these are the generated images by our system. Okay. And now if you just this is just for your test, not the actual test. So if you can you see whether it is a real or it is a fake image? Real means it is computer generated, and fake means it is real means it is original image. Fake means it is computer generated by our system. Okay. So what do you mean about this? It is a real or it is a fake image? Can you tell me whether it is a real or fake? So, dear participant, are you getting me?
Yes, sir. They are writing in the chat box.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Few are
okay.
saying fake and few are saying real.
Okay. So let's say you are telling it is real. So if you say it is real, just click here. I am correct. That means it is real image. Let's say I am just putting here real. Then again, let's say I am putting here randomly. Oh, so it is not. I made a mistake. Real. So that is not real. It is fake. So like this. If I just put randomly, okay. So I just put all the reals. Then you will get. So we have 10 images. Okay, so let's say this is fake, this is real, this is maybe fake. Okay, so 10 out of 10. So I just now if you finish this one, then you go to the next actually. Here you will see actual the images where you have to tell in 5 seconds. So real or fake. So let's say real. You just go to the next one, automatically it will come, then you have to tell that one. And then you can see your accuracy. That means what I have seen, we have seen from more than 130 people, the accuracy of this system is about 54%. That means 54% people can tell this images is real if it is real, or this images is fake if it is fake. That means there is a mistake from the human about more than 40%, let's say, that they cannot detect properly whether it is real or fake. Anyway, I will send this link later. So if you want to test this one, you can test. Okay. So my intention here to show you this. Okay. So the text-based pose estimation, that means computer can be used to generate the images as we like. So that can be based on text, can be some other information, anything we can do that. Okay. And another application is multimodal retrieval. So as you know that we are always retrieving information from the internet. We are always using Google. So we just write Uma Podopal in the Google, and then you will get all the related publication, Google Scholar, DBA, everything from the internet, right? So instead of text, we can use many other mode. That means no, maybe text, maybe speech, maybe some drawings. So drawing means, for example, you just draw like air writing. You draw an apple or maybe a banana or maybe a fish, and automatically you just move your hand in front of your camera like this. As soon as you will move your hand like this, and you will the system will get what you want to search, and all the related items can be searched. So in fact, early this year, one of our students that is jointly supervised by me and Joseph Lados from Computer Vision Center, University Autonoma Barcelona from Spain. So that student got the PhD on multimodal retrieval. Okay, so just based on the hand sketch, he just draw a sketch, or maybe just sketching is there, and based on the sketch, automatically the information will be retrieved. So there are many work on multimodal retrieval, not only the text, maybe speech, maybe that sketch, and combination of those, that also possible. Okay. Here. So I will give you a little more application. So today I have to stop at 11 o'clock because there is maybe the inaugural program from the AICT. So organizer mentioned that I need to stop at 11 o'clock. So maybe I'll just give some of this application, and I'll continue the application and the technical details in my next talk on Wednesday. Okay. So some other application is brain computing. That means if you take the images from your brain, that signal, that means how we can use this signal to reach the people. That means how we can get the information about the people through this brain signal. So we can take the brain signal with some EEG machine. So that EEG machine is nothing but a cap. Like when you use just motorcycle, you just use a helmet. So it is like a helmet-like thing, and there are some sensor in different parts, and that sensor will take the brain images from different parts of your brain, and that brain signal is like a speech signal, or maybe like a ECG signal. You know ECG. When you go take the ECG, you will have a signal. So it is like signal like that, and that signal can be processed, and we can know that what is the mental status of that particular field. Okay, so lots of work has been done on a BCI, brain computing interface. So that is based on the EEG signal. Okay. Another example application, and that is the abnormal behavior identification using social media information. So, for example, nowadays everybody has is using the social media through Facebook or maybe some other, right? So they are uploading many images. So based on the uploaded information of a particular person, say X, is it possible to detect the mental condition or his behavior from those images? So people have started to do some sort of research, because nowadays the social media, lots of images are coming. So how to detect the mental condition of a person using the images, whether that person, the images that person uploads. Okay. Or another way is people has also started to identify the different social media images. Okay. So for example, if you just want to know about this behavior, I just want to give some, okay, let me give you one example so that you can get the idea. You can see here. So this is the some behaviors, that is the behavior oriented social media image classification. That means there are several images, and you can see, and their behavior is different. This is threatening, this is sarcastic, and psychopath, and so many, depression. So generally the people, when they are uploading some images, they they like to upload the images based on their behavior. So we can easily classify, and we can get the behavior of uh, the person based on the images he or she uploads. So another word is that social images, and we can classify whether those images are from the same family, that means normal family, or different family, non-family, or multicultural family, different classes. So some people have started work using deep learning and to classify the images like this. So what is the application for this? So let's say you have taken many images in last several years, right? And now if I ask you, or maybe let's say I have taken many images in last 20 years, and now I want to get today only the images I have taken with my family. So how to classify? So we can easily extract those particular images from the whole images. We have several images, several thousands images. So people are also starting work on this, and also people have started some work that, let's say, there is a photo, and how to know who has taken the photo. That means photographer identification. How machine can automatically identify the photograph. It is a very challenging work. So people have started for this photographer identification. Okay. So there are many other applications for these areas, and people are using always machine learning or deep learning for this. So because of the time constant, I will not give you more applications today. Maybe I'll just give you a little more in the next class because I have to stop in 2-3 minutes. So we will just go for some question. So if you have any question, I will be glad to answer. And in the next class, I will give some more application and I will give you the technical details, how it is actually done. Today, I just gave you the overview to know the application. So you know, okay, there are many applications, open application. Definitely, you can start your research on this. And in the next class, I will give you more technical details on some of the applications. Okay. So maybe we'll go for question answering if there is no time. Is it okay? Can I proceed for question, or I can continue? If you want, I can continue. That is not a problem.
Yeah, sir, I would request everybody to write your query in chat box, or you can also raise your hand if you wish to, so that sir can take the questions.
Participants may also verbally ask their questions. They have been given the unmute permission.
Okay, that is good.
Hello.
Yeah, please. If you have
Yeah,
any
sir.
question, don't hesitate to ask me. Huh?
Yeah, sir. It will be very helpful if you say a little bit about the brain computing one.
Also, brain computing.
Yes.
Maybe if you need to know the technical one, maybe in the next lecture I can tell. But I can tell you. But maybe now I can tell you exactly how we are doing. Actually, in the brain brain can be divided into several parts, right? So if we take the EEG, that EEG has several nodes or maybe sensor, let's say, and that sensor will take the images from different parts of the brain, as I mentioned earlier. So let's say if I divide the brain into 4 parts, so we will get 4 images. The same time we will get 4 images, right? And that images, so for example, in the morning when you are getting up from the early morning, let's say at 6:30, so you are just getting up and you are very relaxed. So then your brain signal, if you see your brain signal, and when you are coming back from your office, so you are very fresh. And if you see your brain signal, they are very different. So that means your brain signal reflect your mental status. Okay, so for example, you are shown a particular advertisement. Let's say today in the newspaper you are sorry. So today, let's say in the morning in the newspaper you are just seeing some advertisement of the television. So you are seeing one by one television, and you can see if you like a television, then your mental status, that means you are laughing somewhere, or maybe you are getting relaxed, something like this. So that means at that particular time, your brain signal will be different. then when you are seeing other TV, what you don't like, or other model you don't like. That means this is this can be used as a e-marketing also. That means when you are seeing one by one model, you don't like, automatically when you like, your brain signal will be different from the others. Okay, so that brain signal can be processed, and the signal maybe in the next class I will tell one or two slides to give you more technical details on this, so that you can know how this signal can be processed to get the information. Okay. Is it okay?
I have
yeah.
a question.
Yeah.
I need on one question. It's not a question. I want some point from you. You said photographer identification, sir.
Yes, yes.
If a researcher want to start with that, with this kind of, though it is a really very challenging. So, what are the major points that he has to keep in mind to start with this kind of work?
Yeah, actually, you see, what you have to do. So, for example, if you take a photograph and somebody else, or maybe who is a good photographer, if he takes that photograph, so you can see there is a change in the photograph, right? So, what are those changes? Actually, the quality and haziness, or maybe that whether when you are taking the photograph, your hands are not stable. So there are many criteria that people are trying to get the information from the photograph, and they are taking those information, and based on the information they are trying to get the photograph. So it is a really challenging, as you mentioned, because if we consider, let's say, many photographers, and then we can classify who is the photographer taking this image, is very difficult.
Yes, sir.
But if you restrict that one, let's say 100 people, so out of these 100 people, you want to say who has taken the photograph, that may be possible. But if you take, let's say, 10,000, maybe it is not feasible or maybe possible at
Yes,
the time.
sir.
At this time. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
it is a really new area. Not many papers are published on this area. So only few are there. And I suggest that you. And if you want that, I will send you some papers. I can also send. Okay.
Yes, sir. That I know. Sir, can you share your email ID in the chat box?
Yes, sure. I will send you my email ID, and also I will share the link based on that pose estimation I told you. No.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. I will do that.
So there is a few questions in the chat box. Shall I read it out?
Yes. So I'm not getting you properly. Can you just little bit loudly, please?
Yeah. So there are a few questions in the chat box as well.
Okay.
Few participants have asked few questions.
Okay.
Hello, sir. I have one question.
Yes. So maybe I will just ask the question.
What you
chat
have
box
said,
later.
sir,
Sorry.
behavior-oriented social media image classification. For these types of problems, sir, I think several types of cases are there. Some of the cases like threatening, some of the cases like depressive, some of the psychopath. Several types of cases may be there. So, sir, how we can detect? Basically, is there any algorithm or is there any model for detecting the several cases, basically several classification? So please,
Actually, yes. So actually, it is a nice question, because this sort of, you see, nowadays there are many people, there are many images you can obtain in social media, and that is uploaded by many people, right? So that's why, because this is the age where all people are using the social media, right? So that's why this research problem comes in the team, and people are trying to classify this one. Actually, so this is one sort of classification problem. So why? Because you have to know the images, whether those images belongs to the psychopath or maybe threatening or something. So we can have lots of images for different classes, right? And we can use deep learning technique to get that a particular input image belongs to which class. And then we can see that a person X is always sending the images belongs to that particular group. Then we can say that he has a tendency of this class. Okay, so that means we have the class of images and also we have the respective ground truth for that. Then we can train and we can get, okay, this is a good model and you can use this model to get that. But at present, there is no model available for this to automatically doing this one. In fact, I don't know, maybe there is, but I may not know that one. But as per my knowledge, there is no real model so far, but people are doing on this area and some papers are coming out for this. Okay.
Sir, basically a lot of images are in social media, but for authentic database, we require some authentic image. Basically, that will create some. I think that will create some problem. That is the main problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. So the main challenging is you have to get the data and you have to know the ground truth. Okay, this data is from a person who has this tendency. Otherwise, how we can validate? So validation will have some problem. So we need the proper data with the ground truth, then you can validate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. In fact, we started to do some data collection with some mental institute. In fact, some students are also help us. And based on that, we just tried to develop a system for this. Okay.
It means any real world data set is not properly available for this?
No. For this, no.
Okay.
So data is the most important thing, and that is the most complex problem for us.
Okay.
In many applications, not only this one, also in medical. You can see in the medical there are many good ways to do that, but we don't have the very good data set for that, and that's why we cannot have good work on this.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, you discussed about the heartbeat detection using the rotation of retina. So, sir, have you checked any relationship between this movement of eye with our head movement? That means degree, how much degree the movement of our head when we rotate our head to see the side way or that is in an angle direction.
Yes. This is a good question. Thank you very much. In fact, we didn't have a real comparative study about this angle of rotation and that heartbeat. Okay. So actually, what we did in this work, so when we take the facial image video, that means when we take the video of the facial face, or maybe the human body, so you can take the face or maybe human body, it doesn't matter. So if it is a human body, you have to take the facial portion, only the face portion. So when we take the video, we use the oximeter in his or her finger, so that we can get actually the ground truth. That means when we are taking the image, we are also the ground truth of his heartbeat, so that we can test that one. So we have tested the results based on these ground truth images, but we didn't have analysis on how much accuracy we are getting, even we are rotating our head some, let's say 45 degree or maybe about 90 degrees, something like that. Okay. So we don't have that analysis, but it is a valid, very good question and a valid question. We should do that and we should know that. That's why when I have shown that the demonstration, you can see when the head movement is going towards extreme right or extreme left, you can see that heartbeat is going about 90 degrees. That means we are getting that wrong heartbeat for that particular. This is normal because this system is based on, you can see from the nose, in the side of the nose, we're just taking the blood circulation from this end. So when it is there, actually the images is not, we are not getting the proper image because image quality is different. And that's why we are getting this sort of error. Okay. But we didn't take the actual analysis on the rotation versus accuracy. So that is a good thing. Maybe I will ask my student to do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Sir, one request, sir. Sir, is there any available website from where we get the data for the medical image?
No, see, medical image is a huge, you know. So which particular medical image you want to get? Because
for example, sir, ECG data set or EEG signal
I think
data set.
ECG is available. EEG, some set is available, but other, for example, if you want to get that, for example, nowadays the CT scan for COVID. So people are uploading in some website, but I am not sure how good was. So in fact, we are trying to get a CT data set with that one of the hospital in Kolkata. So maybe we'll start the data from the next few weeks because we need some sort of that document that is, you know, if you take the medical images, you have to have the proper documentation, right? So we are trying to get that. But let me know, or you send me one email that which data set you need. I will give you the particular link if those data set is available. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So you can see here email address. So Umapada, UMAPATA @isical.ac.in. But anyway, I will share this one to you. No problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So regarding the other question, shall I proceed now or maybe later, as you like?
So you
In
can,
the
no problem.
sorry.
So you may proceed, sir, no problem.
Okay, because
There
I
are
heard
few-
that there is an inauguration from the AICT,
Right.
so I have to be stopped. It's okay, no
No,
problem.
sir, as per your wish. If you want to take a few more questions, we can go ahead.
Sorry, could you
So
please?
if you want to proceed with the questions, we can proceed, no problem.
So before that, I just want to know, is there any other question from the participant now, except that in the chat box?
Yes, sir. There are a few questions. I would request Professor Shubhasri Roy to read it if possible.
No, sir is asking, apart from the chat box, if anybody has any query, they may ask
Yeah.
it directly.
Any other, except the chat box. Otherwise, we will go one by one, and the rest of the things I can answer in the next talk. Not a problem.
Right. So participants, if you have any query, you can ask directly to sir.
Okay, so
Okay.
can you just go through one by one of these queries, because
Right.
so maybe I'll just this is the link I sent you regarding the. Have you received that one?
Yes, sir, I've received.
Yeah.
We can all
So this
see.
is the link. This is the link about this for that our system for pose estimation, and this is my email. I can just send you right now. Oh, sorry. Maybe sorry, I made a mistake. It is the same thing. I cannot post it here. 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is my email address. So if you have any query, you can send it here. Okay. So, Madam, could you please read one by one about the question?
Right.
But somehow I cannot see here. I don't know why, or I miss.
So in the chat,
Okay.
in the chat box, sir, it is there. So I'm just reading
Yeah.
out first question.
No, maybe I just go at the,
Okay. Shall I?
oh, yeah, please.
Okay. So
The
the
first one.
first question is from Bhavravi Ghosh. She's asking, there are often crime happening. Okay, the crime happens. A witness gives description of the criminals. Can pose estimation be used to form image of the criminals from the description of the witness?
In fact, thank you for the question. So, in the next talk, I will just give you related to this. So, when I will discuss that one, I think it is better I will give the answer of this one.
Right, sir. Okay.
So, actually, there is a application that is the fraud detection. That is the forensic application. So, I will just give that one, and then I will answer this.
All
Okay?
right. So yeah, then the next question is from Professor Parul, and the question is, please guide us on image reconstruction.
So, image reconstruction.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, there are many work on this. So, in fact, I am not actually working in this image reconstruction. Okay. But as you know, the work that is the pose estimation is not a reconstruction, actual reconstruction, but there are lots of papers on this. Okay, so please search in the Google, and you will get many papers on reconstruction, so that you can get the idea on this. Okay, so I'm not giving the way how we can do this. Okay.
Yes, sir. This was all, and few more questions were verbally asked by the participant already. And
Okay.
there are many word of praise, informative sessions, and so on in the chat box itself. So I think we can now, I think there are no more questions as far as the chat box goes. So thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Yeah, so thank you for your attention. And in the next session, I will give you more technical things and also some of the and answer of some of the questions you raised today, and so that you can get the clear idea on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
yeah, so in that case, maybe I will leave now and I'll join in Wednesday.
Right, sir. A few more minutes, sir, with you.
Okay.
Just I wanted to, just summarize what you just had in this session. So
Okay.
thank you for your presence, sir. And we had a really fantastic session here, right from the application of parcel sorting, automatic answer script evaluation, and many more. We were all very attentive, which we can already see from the, the question, the flood of questions that we are getting in the chat box itself. So thank you, everybody, for your presence. Thank you, sir, for your valuable knowledge that you shared with us. And since this time it is a virtual FDP, sir, so I would like to share the certificate, just a token of appreciation to you right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thanks to the organizer from IEM for inviting me to share my experience or knowledge to all of you. And I request you, so perhaps in my from my talk from today and maybe day after tomorrow, you will get some new ideas. And I request you, if possible, please start some work with your students, because in some of the areas going for the India needs some work. Okay, so please please start some more. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. There are still so many, appraisal, words of praise coming up. To so many thank you for you.
Oh, thank
People are
you. Thank
already
you all.
writing nice session. Thank you, sir, for your presence. We are extremely grateful for your presence today, sir. And I request all the participants to stay in the link because the next session would start in the same link here. And we are already having another session going on from the ICT. You can also join there. But the next session would be starting sharp at 11:45 a.m. in the same link. So you may be here or you can leave the meeting now and join later on. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day ahead. Thank you, sir.
Thank
for
you
your
very
presence.
much. Okay. Have
Thank
a
you,
good
sir.
day.
See you
Bye.
again. Yeah. Bye, sir. So I request all of you to check your chat box for the link. And the attendance link would be shared a little later, around 2 to 2:30. So you can just find the attendance link in the chat box or in the WhatsApp group. So I would request all of you to be careful while you're filling up the attendance form. Please take extra care while you fill your data. The details that you put in the form for your attendance should have the exact name, designation, email ID, which you have used while registering in the Atal FDP portal. So have a great day ahead. You may go ahead and join the other link. But the next session would be starting in 11:45 in this link itself. Thank you so much.